where you can say it like it is and you're going to get honest feedback. She's the greatest female player that ever lived. Then the lady said to me, I don't remember which one, but she said, he only had one serve and she had the doubles alley and beat her. And over the course of time, people, including our now president, wasn't president at the time, have offered me sums of money.
For a brief moment, the design center in Linz was enveloped in an eerie silence. Within that stillness, a controversy the WTA had desperately hoped to avoid began to spread like wildfire. John McEnroe had just erupted not over a questionable line call or a dispute with a chair umpire, but to expose something far more calculated. He targeted the WTA for what many are calling Eala's most dangerous and well-kept secret of the season in Linz. Eala arrived in Austria this week ranked 46th in the world, having plummeted from a career high of 29 following a crushing round of 1-6 defeat in Miami just weeks prior. Her performance on clay is statistically alarming. She failed to progress past the second round in all 4 of her clay court appearances last year. Her opening opponent at the Linz WTA 500 was Julia Grabher, a 29-year-old, Austrian ranked 87th, a beloved hometown figure and a natural specialist on the surface. Grabher has secured 16 ITF titles on the dirt through a combination of humility and relentless hard work.
And she's humble and she works hard. Yes, that's why we like her, you know, because she's the face of the Philippines.
Meanwhile, a dedicated nation of Filipino fans regularly awakens at 3 a.m. solely to watch this young athlete compete. They deserve the opportunity to witness her journey, yet the WTA appeared intent on ensuring they almost didn't. Fortunately, John McEnroe, a man who never mistakes silence for peace, ensured that the quiet was shattered. What did he actually say? You need to hear this directly. Subscribe now. During a recent broadcast segment, McEnroe did more than just casually mention Eala's name before moving on. He spotlighted an issue the tennis establishment has been quietly comfortable with for months: the WTA's repeated failure to treat Eala like the global draw she demonstrably is. This was not merely a moment of fleeting frustration. McEnroe has observed the scheduling decisions pile up around this player and finally concluded that the pattern was too blatant to ignore. His argument was structural rather than emotional. The WTA possesses a player with one of the most passionate fan bases in the sport, yet they continue to make choices suggesting they either fail to grasp that reality or simply do not care. The situation in Linz provided the perfect case study. Here is the truth no one was voicing loudly enough before the match was scheduled. Julia Grabher is no pushover on clay. Full stop. The 29-year-old Austrian has spent the better part of a decade tailoring her game specifically to this surface. Those 16 ITF singles titles were not earned on hard courts. They were won on the dirt grinding, physical, high-spin clay battles where her powerful serve and aggressive baseline game inflict maximum damage. Grabher reached a WTA Tour final in May 2023 and peaked at world number 53 that same year. She secured a Grand Slam singles victory at the 2023 French Open, defeating Arantxa Rus before falling in the second round. At this year's Australian Open, she fought her way back into the top 80 with a first-round win. She isn't ranked 87th because she is ordinary. She holds that rank because 2026 has been a genuinely difficult stretch. She carries a 3-8 record, a withdrawal from Miami due to minor health concerns, and 2 early clay exits in Turkey prior to arriving home in Linz. Home in Linz, that phrase carries significant weight. Grabher made her main draw debut at this exact tournament back in 2019. The Design Center crowd knows her name, they came to support her, and they expected her to win. She was stepping onto her preferred surface in her home country against a player whose clay court statistics are, quite frankly, poor. Now, consider what Eala was actually walking into. The 20-year-old Filipina had not played a single clay match since the French Open at Roland Garros last year. Her entire 2026 season up to this point, Auckland, the Australian Open, the Philippine Women's Open, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Dubai, Indian Wells, and Miami was played exclusively on hard courts. While she had been training at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca in the week leading up to Linz, even sharing court time with Iga Swiatek in what appeared to be serious preparation, practice and match sharpness on clay are 2 entirely different worlds. In 2025, Eala failed to progress past the second round in all 4 clay tournaments she entered. 0 second-round finishes is not a statistical blip, it is a definitive pattern. To date, her lone WTA 125 title was achieved in Guadalajara on hard courts.
Hi everyone, I'm so excited to be back. Can't wait to be out on court and I hope to see you there.
Her most significant results, her deep run in Miami, her final in Eastbourne, and her impressive U.S. Open performance all occurred on faster surfaces. These environments favor her aggressive early ball striking and the sharp angles she creates as a left-hander. In contrast, clay slows everything down. The surface neutralizes her most potent weapons, providing opponents with the necessary time to reset, construct points, and ultimately grind her down until she commits errors. Julia Grabher, a natural clay court specialist, understood precisely how to exploit every second of that added time. On paper, this was more than just a mismatch. It was a legitimate upset waiting to happen. Despite this, the WTA scheduled the match without a marquee court designation, without a meaningful emphasis on the international broadcast, and without providing the level of visibility that would signal to the world that something significant was occurring in Austria. This specific lack of foresight is the decision McEnroe simply could not ignore. To truly comprehend why his frustration runs so deep, one must understand the broader pattern of neglect he was reacting to.
He only had one serve, and she had the doubles alley and beat her. And over the course of time, people, including our now president, wasn't president at the time, have offered me sums of money.
The Tennis Gazette reported in February 2026 that the WTA had frequently scheduled Eala at unusual hours on secondary courts. This was a direct observation from their coverage, reflecting the exact frustrations that fans had been voicing loudly for months.
Not easy sometimes because we are playing for such an important things for our tennis career, but
However, this was far from a fringe complaint originating from a niche Filipino fan base. This was documented, mainstream tennis media calling out the tour's decision-making regarding one of its most watched players. The Dubai Tennis Championships eventually corrected this course, granting her the final match on center court on February 17th against a top 10 opponent. The response was instantaneous. The stadium was packed, and the broadcast numbers proved exactly what happens when you position Eala where she belongs. Yet, when Linz arrived, it appeared the lesson had not traveled far enough within the WTA scheduling offices. McEnroe's argument was sharper than a simple request for a larger court. When you have a player whom Mats Wilander, a 7-time Grand Slam champion, compared directly to McEnroe himself, calling her game mystical, and noting that her feel for tennis was basically what John McEnroe did to us in the 1980s, you are not dealing with a mid-table curiosity. You are dealing with a generational talent who draws crowds in a way few current players can. Choosing to obscure her first clay match of the season, a match fraught with genuine upset potential against a dangerous hometown favorite, is not a neutral scheduling choice. It is a definitive statement about which stories the WTA considers worth amplifying, and McEnroe decided that statement required a response. Furthermore, this match cracked open a broader conversation that extends well beyond Linz and scheduling politics. Alex Eala's development on clay is one of the most fascinating subplots in women's tennis leading into the French Open. With Roland Garros beginning on May 24th, her schedule includes Stuttgart from April 13th to 19th, followed by the Mutua Madrid Open from April 21st to May 3rd, and then Paris. These are 3 consecutive clay events building toward the most prestigious clay tournament on earth. How she performs on this surface over the next 6 weeks will define her 2026 season more than anything she achieved on hard courts. Part 6. Her historic semifinal run in Miami last year, where she defeated Jelena Ostapenko, Madison Keys, and Iga Swiatek in succession as a wildcard qualifier, was a monumental achievement, yet it occurred entirely on hard courts. Clay remains the unfinished chapter of her professional narrative, and Linz was intended to be the opening sentence of that story. Instead, the WTA reduced it to a mere footnote. Julia Grabher, waiting on the other side of the net and armed with 16 clay titles and the full backing of a home crowd, represented the exact type of test that would inevitably expose Eala's limitations on the surface.
Hey, I'm Alex. I just finished my practice and come spend the day with me at Tennis Paradise.
Either outcome would have been appointment television. A victory for Grabher would have sent shockwaves through the draw and raised serious questions regarding Eala's readiness for Stuttgart and Madrid. Conversely, A win for Eala, particularly a convincing one, would have signaled a significant milestone in her development heading into Roland Garros. The narrative stakes could not have been higher for a first-round match at a WTA 500 event. Yet, the global audience that would have watched every single point of this match, an audience numbering in the millions, was given no real invitation to do so. To be specific about who that audience is and why McEnroe's frustration carries such weight, the Filipino fan base supporting Eala is not a casual fair-weather following. These are dedicated supporters who set alarms for 3 a.m. to watch her play in time zones where they have no business being awake.
We are looking for the next two tournaments to try to get more matches. And then
These are the same people who filled stadiums in Manila during the inaugural Philippine Women's Open in January 2026, an event she entered as a wild card and advanced to the quarterfinals, eventually losing to the champion, Camila Osorio. These are the supporters who have watched her become the first Filipino woman to break into the WTA Top 100, then the Top 50, and finally reach a career high of number 29. It is a ranking journey that an entire nation has tracked, point by painstaking point.
Now we came here because she's also here. Of course.
Match, so I think those back and forths were really intense for me, and I'm happy that I was able to get some of them.
Of course, we have to mention Eala, the incredible fandom coming, across the globe, especially from the Filipino community. So
He only had one serve, and she had the doubles alley and beat her. And over the course of time, people, including our now president, wasn't president at the time, have offered me sums of money.